All right. Well, welcome into today's show. Kevin and I are super excited today. We're welcoming in 2014 Barbecue Pitmaster Champion and 2016 Smoke Champion, Mr. Robby Royal. He's coming to us from the Tifton competition. Robby, thanks for joining us. How you doing?
I'm excited, Kurt. Doing great. How about y'all?
Fantastic. Fantastic. So for our listeners, you would by now know that Robby's been a huge catalyst for us. So we're super excited to have him on the show. He's very giving, and let's chat about your journey. I'm always curious to hear stories and journeys, and tell us a little bit about your journey, Robby, into competitive barbecue.
I've always been in both of my grandfathers' back pockets my entire youth, and both of them were the cooks in our families, whether it be cooking hamburgers for the firefighters, or my other grandfather lived at the river cooking whole hog or half goats or whatever. It was a lot of fun growing up. And then my dad was part of a barbecue team from 1996 until 2002, until he passed away. And then when he passed away, that team, Party Shack Smokers, it was a group of volunteer firefighters. They asked me and Stephanie to join the team, and we did. And I cooked. My very first event with them was the Pig Jig in 2003, and they threw me to the wolves. They said, "Hey, you're a used car salesman." I'm really not. I'm FOS is what my wife says, full of,
yeah.
And I just think gift to gab. But they threw me to the wolves and told me that Saturday morning I was presenting to the judges. I'm like, guys, I don't know everything about our cooking processes. They said, well, you better learn quick because you're talking to the judges. And that was at the 2003 Big Pig Jig. And that's when they did on-site for pork, hog, and ribs. So I had to talk to 9 judges.
Right.
And my very first year, I did the chicken on Friday night as an ancillary, and we came in 3rd place. We made finals. You had to do finals in chicken. So I was excited about that. And then I had to talk to 9 judges, and I was hooked, man. I mean, I was hooked. I was ready to roll. See how many of these suckers we can cook, and cooked hard with them guys. We won a couple of small events, chicken events, where you would do chicken 4 different ways. You'd do wings and stuff like that. And won my first grand championship doing that. It was a chicken event in Araby, Georgia, a little town. Then I guess in 2006, Raymond Poor, my ex-partner, barbecue brother, we decided we wanted to form our own team. The rest of the group didn't want to cook Georgia barbecue events. They didn't want to cook KCBS. They didn't want to cook FBA. And we did. And so we formed our own team, the Rescue Smokers, December 1st of 2006. And the rest is history, man. I mean, got fortunate to get on the show BBQ Pitmasters. Took us 3 years of applying. And from there, have just had a blast learning and teaching, and have been truly blessed in our little game called Competition Barbecue.
I love that. So that journey sounds almost identical, very similar, at least early in your childhood, very similar to my journey, Kevin's journey, right? Talked about your grandfather, and just growing up with it. And that's, Kevin will touch on this, but Kevin grew up with that as well. And that's where he gets a lot of that passion for barbecue.
Yeah. It's always come up big in my family, just like you were saying. And it's one of those things you kind of grew up with, and you started out with charcoal, and then you learned how to do pit and things like that. And it's in my blood. So I love it. Yeah.
Well, as a kid, watching both my grandfathers doing the cooking, whatever it was, especially if there was a half a goat going. I mean, used to be a lot of goat farms in South Georgia. When I was a kid, there's not anymore, but that goat would be going on the old mattress spring and all like that. My job was always literally hand churn the vanilla ice cream for dessert. And so that's how I got my start. And I've had a lot of fun. I'm blessed. I'm trying to get my grandkids into it. And So far, none of the girls have wanted to just jump in there, but I do have a grandson now, and I'm raising a little boy now. So one of them's going to take over the reins in about 5, 6, 7 years, I hope.
There you go.
That's exactly right. And I think it's another theme that I noticed is that you just jumped right in, right, with both feet, and trial by fire, so to speak. And I love that because that's precisely what we did 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah. I never hard. I mean, I jumped straight into like you said, straight into the teeth of the monster. And I said, let's go learn it. And it did. It took us about 3 years of a strong learning curve to figure things out. And kind of like you, I'm real analytical about things. In the early years, say 2008, 9, 10, when we finally got our footing, I mean, I would watch the judges go into the judges meeting. Big thing about it is I was really analytical. I'd watch, and if I saw say a mid upper 30s to low 50s group, I'd cook a little spicier. If I saw an average of about 50 to 60, I'd sweeten it up a little bit. So, I mean, I put a lot of thought into it. It's hard to do that nowadays because flavor profiles change so much, but a lot of stuff that I used to really think about, I'm a lot simpler now, as you know, after taking my own class and my live classes, to keep it simple, stupid, and have fun.
Right. Well, that's what
exactly right.
I think is so great is that, I mean, you just explained kind of that journey in those first couple of years, and that's right where we are, right, as a new team, and trying to figure out what you guys are doing, because you got all the secrets back there, and we're just trying to walk through that path and try to figure out what's right and wrong. So that's good information.
Well,
also, I mean,
I learned a long time ago, probably since 2010 or 11, simplicity goes a long ways. Mm-hmm. And repeating everything. I don't care if you do bad. My pork recipe, I tell a lot of folks, my injection, my pork, what I do, the sauce I use has not changed since 2011. And it goes and comes, just like a tide, just like the tides do. They go and come, but it works its way back around, and I've stuck with it. And, I may get a 14th place call, one cook out of 25 teams. That's okay. I'm not going to change a thing. If you make changes, little bitty changes, little changes, because you could just call a bad table at this one event or 2 events, and you just got to keep rolling with it until it clicks. And when it clicks, enjoy it for that 6 or 7 competitions, because it's going to go away again.
It's
you ride that wave the whole way. Yeah.
That's exactly right. So let's shift gears then just for a second, because there's so many things with competitive barbecue. And really, even if you're listening to the show and you just say, look, I don't even want to compete, I just want to be able to do better in my backyard. Yeah. There's so many different rubs, sauces, spices, smokers, you name it.
Right.
So for today's show, I wanted to camp out on one of those, and that is smokers, because there's a lot of different kinds. They've evolved over the years. I grew up on a Weber charcoal 22-inch grill. Let's camp out on that. What do you use for cooking at a competition? And the second part question to that would be, do you use the same at home?
I don't practice anymore, so I'll answer that real quick. When I first started in barbecue, we used a lane, and I learned real quick. I'm not a pretty guy. I got to get some beauty rest. So I converted over to backwood smokers for a couple of years, but then I got a really good deal on a stump stretch in 2007, and she's still on my trailer today. She's had a few paint jobs and a few new seals, but I cook on a stump smokers stretch and a stump smokers baby XL. I've also cooked on a stump smokers Titan. But the reason I like stump smokers is the consistency of cooks. Right. I'm able to get my timelines down, and I'm able to get some rest. I mean, I literally put my butts on at 9 p.m. I can go to sleep until 2:30. So that's 5.5 hours sleep right there. Mm-hmm. I get up, I wrap, I go back to sleep at 3. I don't get back up till 5:30. So I'm getting 8 full hours sleep. I'm rested, because when it comes to crunch time, as you guys know, you got to put forth your best effort, and you got to be sharp to put those boxes together the right way in order to hopefully catch the right table, hopefully to catch the right 5 or 6 judges, and hopefully to get a great score. A lot of luck in barbecue. You got to be decent at barbecue and be consistent. But what stump smokers do for me, in my opinion, is they're a vertical feed, insulated pit, and they maintain a great amount of moisture without me having to have even a water pan in there. One of my secrets, I don't mind spitting it out there, is I throw sliced onions in on my with peach wood and a little bit of cherry if I'm cooking a brisket, but mainly peach wood that I'm throwing in the firebox. I'm cooking with cowboy coals in the chute, and I chunk 2 or 3 cut up onions in there, and that adds moisture to my smoke for that first 2 or 3 hours of the smoking process. And that's something I've been doing. I don't know, for some reason I just did it one time, and I took 2 finals in the GBA, and it hadn't gone away. And that's been what is it, 2021 now, 2022 now,
22.
And
yeah.
So I've been doing that since 2007. So 15 years now, and it's been a good thing for me. And what I have found about stump smokers is just that if you cook the same product that you're practicing with, you cook the same size product all the time, and you're using the same smoker at the same temperature. And when you're cooking at home, cook by your timeline. You don't have to start at 8 a.m. or 8 p.m. like you normally would, but go by that hourly timeline and figure your techniques down. Whatever you're going to compete with product-wise, you need to practice with if you're putting in a true practice, because you can't cook with IBPs and then cook Butcher Reserve in a comp, or cook with Smithville practice and then cook with IBP in a comp. You need to cook with that same product. Every hog's not the same. Every slab of ribs isn't the same. Every butt's not the same. Every loin's not the same. But you got that product that is consistent with the way that company packages it and the way they produce it, and it goes a long ways. But stump smokers have been a great thing for me. My old girl back there on the back of the trailer right now, she's been through BBQ Pitmasters, Pit Wars, the Kingsford Invitational, and smoked, and I wouldn't have anything else. I don't care. I plan on cooking on her until the day I fall out.
That's a good smoker.
And for our listeners, if you're hearing terminology here that you're thinking to yourself, I have no idea what that means, I want you to visualize a fully insulated metal box is basically what it looks like, right? And on the right or left side of it, you've got a chute that's insulated where you put your lump or cowboy, which what Robby uses. And then there's a firebox under that, and there's a fan. Usually you have some temperature control device that is keeping that consistent temp. And as those coals drop down, like Robby mentioned, you got the onions, you got the peach wood, and it starts creating that smoke and that moisture. So I like to think of the gravity feed, because I was not familiar with it until getting in competitive barbecue, but I like to think of the gravity feed as a good middle ground between a pellet grill and a offset stick burner.
Yeah.
It's
whatever, Kurt, that you can cook whatever. If you practice and you get it going the right way and you get your techniques down, technique is everything, and just pray. But a lot of luck. It takes a lot of luck,
Right.
That's exactly right. So camping out on smokers, right? So we've talked about the gravity feeds. We've talked about the reverse flow offsets. Anybody listening to this show, right? If they're saying, look, I want to get into competitive barbecue, where do they start, right? They're probably not going to go buy a stumps, because that's an investment, right? And it's a good investment, but they're probably not going to do that. But what would you say to the folks that are listening that say, you know what, I want to put my hat in the ring, I want to start a team? What would you say to them?
Go with there's some really good companies producing some barrel smokers right now. Yeah. Get you something. It doesn't have to be it can be a bullet. It can be a pellet grill that you can get for $450 at Lowe's. The key is get it, work on your techniques, work on your flavors, and over time, if you get lucky and win a little money, or you save up some money, tax refund, make a move, go a little bigger. I like having one smoker. I can do an entire comp on one smoker. I like to have two. I like to have one just for ribs because I hate opening the door multiple times. I like for ribs to be on one smoker and just stick with it like that. But sometimes you can't. But you can cook on 2 Webers or 3 Webers and still win. You know, that's all it takes.
All right. So one last topic I want to touch on, and that is South Georgia barbecue. One thing I've realized very quickly is South Georgia barbecue is almost like a religion, right? It is a big deal. I would say that we don't have that sort of atmosphere in our area. I'm curious though, what if you had to look at the identity of South Georgia barbecue, how would you describe it?
True South Georgia barbecue or competition barbecue? Because there's a big difference.
Well, we'll talk about both.
Yeah. True South Georgia barbecue, in my opinion, is going to have a lot of vinegar in it. Savory, sweet with a little vinegar kick. You get in, that's what I prefer. I prefer just straight vinegar sauce on anything I'm eating at all times. But if you're talking about competition, you know, you got to cook for the judges. You're not cooking. Yeah, what you cook may be great in the backyard. You know that. I know that. It's what those judges at that particular table, those 6 judges at that particular table want. And right now, our judges want sweet, in my opinion. Sweet and savory, a little kick, a little bite. And I get that from my vinegar sauce, my rub, or whatever. But it's a 180 when it comes to what true Georgia barbecue is compared to what we're cooking for judges nowadays, in my opinion.
That's a great point. I hadn't thought about that. And as we wind down for our listeners, take the time, connect with Robby. You can look him up, Rescue Smokers on Facebook, like his page. Are you on Instagram too, Robby?
No, I'm not.
Okay. So look him up on Facebook. Again, 2014 Pitmaster champ, 2016 smoke champ, and has been a huge catalyst for us and is very giving of his time. So Robby, we appreciate you taking the time and look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys. The folks have already been around. They're a fun group, so you're going to enjoy meeting them. I've already met a few of them. They're just out walking around. You know what I'm talking about without us getting into it. But going to have a great cook this weekend. I think we've got about 30 pro teams here in the Georgia Barbecue Association, Tits and Rhythm and Ribs. And we're expecting 80, 82 degree weather. So I'm excited about the weekend. I'm excited about seeing you guys, and hopefully we both get a good call this weekend.
There you go. We'll see you in the top 3, Robby.
Take care, bud.
Yeah, I doubt it. But y'all take care, and I love the show. I love you guys, and y'all look forward to getting on there again sometime, chatting about something else.
All right, Robby.
All right, buddy. Take care.